Alright, so we're at the end of the book, and the last chapter, chapter number 10 of the book, is how to be a design thinker. So I wrote this chapter keeping in mind that anyone can be more creative. In fact, people are creative. The way people are born with the ability to swim, all of us are born with the ability to be creative. But just because some people don't choose to swim, others do choose to swim, same applies to creativity. But nonetheless, you can be a design thinker if you wish to practice. And Steven Johnson, the author of Where Good Ideas Come From, has this very interesting sort of suggestion on how to be a design thinker. I'll read that out from you straight from the book. Go for a walk, cultivate hunches, write everything down, but keep your folders messy. Embrace serendipity, make generative mistakes, take on multiple hobbies, frequent coffee houses and other liquid networks, follow the links, let others build on your ideas, borrow, recycle, reinvent. Steven Johnson. So in this chapter, I offer some very simple tips on how you can embrace more creativity into your life and possibly be a much more facile design thinker. The first is live curious. The idea is to have the mind of a child in the body of an adult. Now, as a child, we were all curious. We used to ask so many questions. But over the years, it's not that we have become more intelligent, that we have stopped asking questions, but I think we have developed a lot of apprehension. What will the other guy think? And the more you think of other people, the less you think of what is more important. Because frankly speaking, people don't really think of you as much as you think they do. What is critical is to be curious without really hurting anybody. And if accidentally you hurt up somebody, it should be okay, I guess. So the cornerstone of most leaders whom I've interviewed, read about, spoken to, is about curiosity. They are always trying to scratch new grounds and borrowing very effortlessly from different perspectives of life. Listen with intent. Be a good listener. Now, being a good speaker, there are a lot of training programs and coaching and effort going in that direction, but not a lot of attention goes to being a good listener. I've never come across a course, online course, which says that how to be a good listener in 1 month. Of course, you will come up with courses on how to be a good speaker in 1 month. But listening, I guess, is the most understated skill. Julian Treasure, one of the big proponents of being a good speaker and good listener, offers the RASA technique, which stands for Receive, Appreciate, Summarize and Ask, which I talk about in this book. Also the 1:5 rule, which is for every 1 word that you speak, listen to 5 words. And you will be a charm if you develop the ability to listen, especially when you are trying to solve problems. The third is observe with purpose. The Japanese are the masters of observation skills. And it comes mostly from the very complex text that they have in the Japanese language, but also the environment in which they are living. And there is so much amazing design which is happening all around you. If you can have a keen sense of observation, then you can bring some of those attributes right into your problem solving space. So the Genba, Genbetsu and Genjitsu, which is go to the real spot, the real part and the real facts, is the cornerstone of companies like Honda and Toyota. And no doubt they are highly customer centric and innovative. Da Vinci had this extensive way in which he had made notes, copious notes on his observations. That's what made him an absolute polymath. Defer your judgment. Oscar Wilde very famously wrote in his book, A Woman of No Importance, the only difference between the saint and the sinner is that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. You need to defer your judgment because you do not really know what's coming up next. And one thing is for sure, that the moment you judge somebody, the moment you're judging a situation, you're not opening to changing your point of view. You're not opening to learning anything new. And you're also not leaving any incentive for the other person to behave any different. So I think being non-judgmental is quite important for innovation, because only then you're entertaining multiple possibilities, and perhaps only then you're changing your mind. And that's where innovation requires relaxed attention. It's almost meditative, that you're attentive, but when you're tensed. Hone multiple affiliations. So when you're interviewing the next candidate for a role, don't ask who are you, ask who all are you. And who all are you can be a very difficult question to answer, because most people, as they graduate in their organizational totem pole, they try to limit themselves pretty much to the organization vertically. Their friends are from the same firm, acquaintees are pretty much in the same realm, they talk, they even laugh at the same joke, and their vocabulary becomes almost consistent, and they think that this is required, and over a period of time they become institutionalized. Whereas what is very required is to hone multiple affiliations. And I have really tried to push myself hard on trying to maintain those multiple affiliations. For instance, I try to play guitar for my right brain and chess for my left brain. I try to play tennis, I try to play cricket, I try to indulge in all sorts of sports. It doesn't have to be that I have to be really on top of the game, but as long as I'm able to do it without compromising on any of the other aspects, I try to ensure that it is. Because in that fashion, what happens is, if one dimension of my life is not doing pretty well, I know that something else is going on. So by limiting yourself very heavily to your job, even if you are the CEO of your organization, is not a good idea. So hone multiple affiliations so that you can learn and you can apply. Which also brings to the point of being a T-shaped personality. A T-shaped person essentially has a depth in a given domain. Because without depth, you don't have credibility. People don't come to you. You are not really able to assist people in their lives and business. But you also need to supplement that depth in the domain with a breadth of perspective. And the breadth of perspective comes really from having those multiple affiliations. So keep this in mind, that you get paid for your depth, but you get promoted for your breadth. And depth comes naturally. With over the years of experience, when you're exposed to similar problems in a similar context, you develop a sort of muscle memory and a second nature to be able to solve those problems more efficiently and with least efforts. But breadth comes effortfully, it doesn't come naturally. And your organization doesn't even take so much pain to offer that breadth to you. So breadth is something which I guess is your personal responsibility. This T-shaped personality is what consultancy firms like Bain & Company, McKinsey look for. That how do we have people who are solid in their domain, but at the same time have a perspective that they can understand and listen to what others have to do. Now, what I would like to do is to read out the biography, or a short bio rather, of a designer at Apple. Okay, his name is Ken Kosiada. He wrote this book, Creative Selection, and I found this biography so amazing that I thought I'll just put that straight into my book. So here is a man. Ken was a software engineer and designer at Apple for over 15 years. After graduating from Yale in Bachelor of Arts, he fixed motorcycles, worked in the editorial library of a newspaper, taught English in Japan, and made fine arts photographs. Eventually, he discovered the internet, taught himself computer programming, and made his way through a succession of dot-com era startups before landing at Apple in 2001, where he worked on the software teams that created the Safari web browser, iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. Now imagine this thing, that he is a Bachelor of Arts from Yale University. He was fixing motorcycles, he was teaching English in Japan, he was making fine art painting, he taught himself programming, and he was the core part of the team that wrote the software for iPhone. Now what is a motorcycle mechanic and a fine arts painter doing in Apple? That too in the core team. Shouldn't they be rather looking at a hardcore programmer from a top-notch university? No. And that is where you have diversity. That is where you are comfortable with people who make you feel uncomfortable. Because if everybody is around you is like you, then why you? What's your value? So I think you need to deliberately ensure that you are adding dimensionalities to your life so that you become anti-fragile. There is no one thing that can break you open. Develop failure tolerance, because as I've been telling in the chapter of prototyping, that it's all about inviting failures. Before you fail big, you fail small. Before you fail once and for all, you fail in pieces so that you can correct yourself. And look at the human body. Isn't that an example of prototyping? The nature has created so many mutations. Some of the mutations perish, and a very, very small form of those mutations succeed, and that is what leads to evolution. If nature did not experiment with us, you wouldn't be sitting right now, listen to this video. So a question that begets an answer is, what is the relationship between creativity and intelligence? Are more creative people more intelligent? Are less creative people more intelligent? Or less intelligent people more creative? Or is there no relationship between creativity and intelligence? Now, for a fairly long time, the scientific community was non-conclusive on this particular aspect, that how is creativity impacting intelligence and vice versa. And only recently they have come up with this very remarkable study that creativity and intelligence, as measured by the creative achievement score and IQ score, is mediated by a variable called as latent inhibition. Latent inhibition means that how alert are you to a stimulus. Okay. Now, think about a person who has a very high IQ, and in this book I talk about a figure, which is a very interesting one, that even if you have a very high IQ, but if your inhibitions are high, your creativity will dip. But even with a low IQ, if your inhibitions are low, your creativity grows exponentially, which means, in summary, you should not take things very seriously, including yourself. Nothing is worth it. It doesn't matter. Okay. If you are always puzzled about what the other guy is going to think of me, you're always doing those calculations in your head, then trust me, you will not even come up with anything even remotely creative, notwithstanding your intelligence. And as a parent, just be careful. Are you overtly investing your child's time, effort, and your money into making him or her more intelligent? Or is it the attitude that you're working on? And I guess beyond a point of time, any additional points on IQ is not going to make a huge difference in life. It's the attitude. It's the attitude to mess things up. It's the attitude to be a little playful. It's the attitude of not taking yourself very seriously that makes a huge difference in life. So in summary, what do we need to be design thinker? 3 things. You need to have a clear head. Clear head means you should know your priorities in life. You should know what is good, what is not good, and when to say no. And no without a regret, no without much of a mulling over it. The second thing is you need to have a deep heart. A deep heart which is about empathy, which is about compassion, which is about understanding people around you. But at the same time, you need to have a thick skin. Because as I said before, you need a deep heart to understand the problem. You need a clear head to think of the solutions, but you need a thick skin to be able to implement the solution. And if you think that people are not criticizing you when you are trying to change the status quo, you are being a wishful thinker. You are just being too naive, I would say. It's very critical to embrace such people, take them in the stride, and don't waver from what you really want to do. So that is the end of the book. The book has 2 appendixes. Appendix A talks about the various tool sets, skill sets and mindsets that I have discussed in the book, which I'm sure you will find very useful. And the appendix B is a set of frequently asked questions and frequently told answers, or rather not so frequently told answers, which I'm sure you will find very, very useful. So that's about it then. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this book. You enjoy reading this book as much as I enjoyed writing this book, and looking forward to more such interactions. Take care. Thank you so much.